Hey, what's up guys? Another video here. So today I want to talk about cutting off losses as far as someone that you know. So I want to give you a quick example of someone I knew that I had to cut off. So this individual, without naming names of course, he was not so financially savvy with his money, with his income. So what would happen is I would give him advice. For example, I would give him advice to finish up school, try to get a higher income paying job, and so forth. But he would fail to listen to me. And even if I would give him investing strategies, what he would do is he would just put it off, or try to purchase items that weren't essential and get into credit card debt and so forth. So I really try to help him because, again, I'm not talking from a standpoint of where I don't know how to manage money and assets and things like that. I'm talking from a standpoint of success, right? So I would continually try to help him over and over and over, and even when he got into a situation where he was trying to, for example, with his relationship, where he was trying to, do some bad things with that, I espoused him to do the right thing, of course, and he was eventually convinced by that. But again, I was trying to guide him toward the correct path, financially and via his relationship, but he wouldn't listen. So, you can only help a person too much. You can only hammer a point home so many times until this person will no longer add value to your life. So what you want to do is you want to continually offer value to the friendship and provide insight, provide like a level-headed advice to anyone that you're dealing with. And again, of course, no one's perfect, but there are proper channels and ways to, for example, invest your money and how to approach people and how to treat people and so forth. So that's why I myself have very few close friends that I deal with very often. So again, these three people know who they are, but I do deal with them quite often, and I feel that we provide good value to each other, and we can bounce off ideas to each other and whatnot. So I kind of err on being a more judgmental person, but I think I've gotten a lot better over time, especially with these friendships. But again, I think it's important to hold very few close friendships, and you don't spread yourself out too thin. I do have many acquaintances, but I can only call them acquaintances because I don't have a deep friendship with them, obviously. So I'm not, for example, conversing with them daily, either by text message or whatever else. So again, I think just from my perspective, you shouldn't spread yourself out too thin. You have some close friendships, and you can have a good network of acquaintances that you can help and deal with. But again, from my perspective, because I do have somewhat of a kind of smallish internet following, that a lot of people approach me for advice, and of course I try to help when I can. But again, I don't feel a close interpersonal connection with a lot of people because, again, I concentrate my energy toward having a few close friendships. And if someone is not heeding your advice, where you think the advice is reasonable, and they're kind of pushing back on you or never taking your advice, then maybe it's time to cut your losses and not communicate with that person anymore, because they're not adding any type of value to your life. So it's best not to allocate energy to them, even though after you give them repeated attempts to, for some advice, especially financial advice, and how to control themselves and their behavior. But again, that's why I probably have very few friendships. I'm kind of like a black and white person. I'm not stating I'm definitely not perfect. I'm probably more toward the judgmental side, and it's easier for me to view this as a black and white world because, especially with finance, expenditures, assets, it's a very clear picture for me. And if you follow a certain formula, then you'll be successful in your life, and you won't be working in perpetuity until old age. So, there is a certain way to live life, I feel. Again, some people may feel that, oh, hey, I gotta live my life now and whatnot, but assuming you live until old age, our Social Security may not be there, either may not be there or may be drastically reduced, so you can never rely on that. You have to rely on yourself to provide financial security for yourself in the future. And again, maybe those folks that are your quote-unquote friends that don't follow the same strategy as you, they may be a negative influence in your life, and you may want to cut them out, especially if they're not heeding your advice and not taking control of their lives, especially their financial lives, and of course their relationships, and if they're chaotic in themselves. So I hope that helps, guys. Again, this is kind of a broad video, but again, cut your losses if someone is not adding value to your life, and maintain a few close friendships where you have common goals and approaches toward life. So that's it, guys, and thanks for watching.